for people with disability in Australia. Ngila Bevan, welcome. There's so much anticipation about this scheme. Do you think it's going to be able to deliver?
Well, thank you for having me here on this historic day for people with disability in Australia. Once it's fully rolled out, this scheme has the potential to really significantly change the lives of people with disability in Australia, and of course we're very excited about the launch today.
So give us an example of how it will affect the life of, say, a 14-year-old in South Australia who's a paraplegic.
Well, really, the major shift or major transformation in this policy reform is that it's about people with disability being fully in control of all of their care and support. So it means that they will be able to choose what services that they want, what supports that they want, who they buy them for, and how they receive them. So for that 14-year-old in South Australia, it means that they'll be able to think, oh, I'd like to get up at 9 o'clock tomorrow, I'd like my care and support worker to come at 9 o'clock, instead of the current situation whereby they would have to they would receive their support at the time that the service would want to provide them. So it really means that that 14-year-old gets to decide when they want to get up, when they want to, what they want to do in their day, and they are entitled to receive the supports from the government to allow them to do that.
It seems like such a radical change in terms of service delivery. Presumably there are going to be introductory problems with such a huge program. Are you confident that the planning has gone into this? Well, there's this trial site period at the moment as well, I guess.
Well, there are launch sites in New South Wales and Victoria and Tasmania and South Australia, like I'm sure everybody knows by now. And there will, I'm sure, be problems in ironing out the how supports are delivered. But it really is the change in support delivery, which is the exciting part. It means that the whole market is opened now. Instead of a static market where government funded services to provide particular supports, we now have people with disability in charge of saying, this is what we want, come on workforce, come on business, let's change and meet our needs, have a bit of innovation, learn to be flexible, learn how to support us and accommodate what we want, and then we'll spend our money with you. So that's what people with disability are saying, and those providers who manage to live up to that challenge, I suppose we could call it.
Yep.
They'll be the ones who thrive and who grow, and the ones who don't will fall by the wayside.
For families with family members with disabilities, there's obviously a huge workload on them right now. Mm-hmm. Is there any prospect that the workload on them will be lightened under this new scheme?
Well, we would hope so, because it does mean that there should be no more waiting lists, for example, for people with disability. So when somebody requires a support, they will be able to go out and choose that support, and it will be delivered. Whereas in the current system, we have people who have to wait for a place on a programme, for example. So it does mean that with that increased independence and choice and control, there should be more opportunity for families and carers to continue with their own lives.
And are you going to be keeping a close eye on this now over the coming months to make sure that if there are teething problems, they are addressed?
Of course we will. There's still a huge amount of work to be done. What is a significant change in the delivery of supports to people with disability. This is only one part of a much longer process which we need to become way more engaged in ensuring the equality of opportunity for people with disability in Australia. We do have a national disability strategy, and DisabilityCare is one part of that strategy, but we need to think also about infrastructure, education, employment. People with disability in Australia, about 45% of people with disability in Australia live on or near the poverty line. DisabilityCare will not address that situation, for example. It won't create jobs. So this is only one part in a much greater puzzle, but we're very, very pleased that this is being launched today, and we congratulate all governments that have been involved in this. With the bipartisan approach has also meant that this has been able to be pushed through, and the Australian people have been extremely supportive in wanting to fund this change. Okay,
Ngila Bevan, thanks very much for coming in. We look forward to talking to check on the progress of this scheme over the coming years.
Thank you very much.
Return